Hey everybody, how are you doing on today? I hope that you're doing real good. And I must admit that I'm doing good myself. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to each and every one of you out there for being so kind as to tune in to me today. I really do appreciate it. And of course, I would like to welcome all of you to another episode of TJ's Topics. And here we are at the end of another year. And I've been with y'all all this year. I'm TJ. And I tell you, it is such a pleasure to be with you again on today. And I consider it a joy, an honor, and a privilege to be able to come before you on any given occasion. I tell you, I'm just so glad because we have made it so far. I mean, in just this year alone, and we've made it a long ways in our lives as well. And each of us have been through different things. We've seen different things, heard different things, and experienced different things. Now, there are some things that each of us have gone through in our individual lives that certain people may not have survived. But since we're still here, I guess, we ought to consider ourselves blessed and fortunate because, not everyone gets the opportunity to go through certain things and actually come out on the other side of it all right. So therefore, we should never take anything for granted that we have or anything that we've been through that we actually survived because it could have been the other way. Now, let me ask you this. Have any of you ever considered yourself different from the people around you? Like, have you ever been told that you were, there was something about you that just was unlike everybody else? If you have, then you may have questioned a lot of things about yourself and about the world in which we live along the way. And I know I've done all of that many times. I mean, ever since I was a child, I have questioned a lot of things about me and why I'm the way I am, and why is it so hard for me to fit in with everybody else, or why is it that I don't have too many friends, and why do I always feel a sense of discomfort anytime I enter certain places? Those are some of the questions that I've had regarding my own life and circumstances. And I'm sure that there are many of you out there who have had those same type of questions as well, or something similar to them. Well, if you have, then here's something that I want you to consider. And that is, perhaps you may be a chosen one. That's right. You may be one of those specially designed, divine individuals who came to this earth for a specific and divine purpose. And the assignment that's on your life is unlike those that may be on the lives of others out here. And so that's what I want to talk about for a little bit today. Being a chosen one is not all that fun. And believe me, it's not. Being a chosen one is not all that fun. Now, why would I say that? Well, I'm going to tell you, I've had enough experiences in my life to know that um, I've always known, I mean, ever since I was in preschool, that I was different. I mean, I knew that, preschool and kindergarten and coming on up. And people always pointed out my differences, you know, whatever it was. I mean, the way I walked, the way I talked, the way I behaved. They always had something to say about the way I did things and who I was as an individual. Oftentimes individuality is something that is very much looked down upon and shunned by the general public. You know, most people out here don't like things or people that are different. But as long as you go along with the status quo and you be like a little sheep, just follow the crowd and don't deviate from the norm, as they call it, then everything is all right. But as soon as you start to show just a little bit of difference from everything and everybody else, oh man, now you you are about to find yourself up against a brick wall. For real. So that's what we want to discuss for just a few moments today. Being a chosen one is not all that fun. First of all, what is a chosen one? Let's talk about that for a minute. First of all, chosen one is only a term of reference. So no one should allow that to go to the head. Secondly, as such, you are a lot more awake and aware than many of those around you, which will oftentimes set you apart from the crowd. You will be different from everyone else in terms of how you think, act, and feel. And if you have ever experienced any of this in your life, from early childhood on through your preteens and your teenage years, and even as a young adult, and as an older person, then you could very well be one of those individuals who is chosen. Now, if you are a chosen one, it doesn't make you better than anybody. So please don't get the wrong idea. I mean, those of us who are in fact chosen, we don't go around thinking that we're just all that. And, we're not going to walk around here with the big head and, oh, I'm this and that. No, that's not the way to be. That's the wrong kind of attitude to have. But as a chosen one, it does. It sort of puts you in this feeling of awe and amazement. You're amazed and then you often wonder, what did I do to deserve such a position in life? A lot of times you'll ask yourself those type of questions, like, how in the world did I end up here? And I'm sure you probably already have. A lot of you may have. But then you have folks around you who tend to look at you and they shake their head, like kinfolks especially. They're the main ones. Matter of fact, relatives are the worst ones when it comes to someone who's different. I have a memory of an experience very similar to that. When I was 3 years old, we had a little family gathering down at my grandmother's house. Now, this was a few years after my grandfather passed away. And so it was my grandmother, it was my mama, my aunts, and my uncle. We all were there, and myself. We were there, and I think we were getting ready to have I don't know if it was a cookout or something. I don't know what it was. But like I said, I was 3. I was a toddler. And my uncle, he asked me about my tennis shoes that I was wearing. And he said, Taryn, those look like a pair of Nikes you got on. And I didn't say anything, you know. Now, I will tell you this. At 3 years old, I had a difficult time speaking because I had to endure speech impediment. You know, I wasn't able to form my words properly, and I wasn't able to make complete sentences and understandable sentences and stuff, and hold um, you know, real conversations with anybody at that time. And so that was a problem. Well, my grandmother considered that a problem too. And so after I failed to give my uncle a response to his question, then that's when my grandmama said, "Can't you talk?" Can't you? And then finally my mama told my grandmama, "No, mama, he can't talk." And I couldn't because I had a speech impediment. So thankfully, I was able to go to a special school that helped me to learn how to speak and speak well. And I got over that speech impediment. And so here I am today. But I guess all that was a part of the journey that I had to endure as a chosen one, perhaps. A large segment of the population worldwide is fixed-minded, traditional, and mentally programmed to do things in a continuous circle. Rarely will they question their belief systems. You know, like, take for example, a lot of Christians, they will not question anything their pastor tells them or anything that they've learned in church over the course of their lives. But they will continue to believe and go along with everything that they've been taught from early childhood, failing to realize that much of what they were taught, or much of what we were taught, was incorrect. And a lot of it is. But you can't tell them that though, because their minds have been conditioned to believe that to question anything about God, about religion or church or the Bible is somewhat a infidel. You know, in other words, you're kind of like the devil. And I could say a lot about that too, but this is not the conversation that we're having today. There are divine beings walking amongst us each and every day. They are chosen to help their generation prosper and evolve in every lifetime. The chosen ones have lots of energy that they can use to serve as a great help to humanity. Now, if you are indeed a chosen one, then you know that not only are you different from most of the people around you, but you also know that your assignment, the assignment that was given to you upon your arrival to this earth, it was created exclusively for you. And in this lifetime, you want to do all you possibly can in order to fulfill that assignment, you know, to the best of your ability. You know, you don't want to leave this world with a lot of unfinished business if you can help it. Now, I know that all of us are going to leave here with something undone, whether it's dishes in the sink or bathroom haven't been cleaned, commode, or whatever. But when it comes to issues regarding spirituality and things of that nature, we want to try to do the best we can to complete our task and helping people around us. You know, it feels good when you're able to help folks. when you're able to, be a blessing to somebody. You may not always get the proper recognition for your good deeds, and you may not always be compensated well for your deed, or compensated at all, I say, because some folk don't like to pay. But it just gives you a good feeling to know that you did a good thing for somebody. That's always something to put a smile on your face and on the face of others. The early life of a chosen one. Because see, when you are a chosen one, you know it early on. It's not something that you discover late in life. Most of the time, it shouldn't be anyway. You know, like almost immediately upon birth that you're different. Because everything that we need to survive in this world came here with us. We don't have to go out and try to dig a ditch and try to beg and borrow and steal from others to get what we need. Everything we need is on the inside of us. In their younger days, chosen ones tend to be too trusting of people, forgiving them too quickly for the things they have said or done. And I think a lot of us have found ourselves in that predicament, being so quick to look over the things that people say about us and say to us, and they'll offer us these old nonchalant apologies, but they really don't mean it. It's just something they're saying. And we forgive them because we were taught from early childhood that you got to forgive and forget. You got to, because that's how God wants you to be. But see, that's why it's important that we have an understanding of things for ourselves, especially when they go to talk about who God is and what God is and stuff. Because a lot of the things that we were taught, even in church as a child, they're not 100% accurate. And so, and I will say this, there is no excuse for anybody to be ignorant in this day and age, because the season for believing has passed. We are now in the season of knowing. And therefore, it's important that we have an accurate understanding of things, especially if we're a chosen one. Now, that is usually the nature of such individuals, being forgiving and all that kind of stuff, because deeply embedded inside of them is the divine spark that is often referred to as God, source, or eternal being. When you are a chosen one, you will usually find yourself as an outsider, while the vast majority of the population, whom the church might refer to as sheep, will go with the flow. And that's something I've always had a problem with, going with the flow, because I've always liked to do things my own way, in order to express my own individuality and my own taste and my own personality. I've never cared for trying to be like everybody else, because there's no joy in that. There's no peace in that. There's no happiness in that. I like to do my own thing. And I'm sure you do too. If you're a chosen one, you like to, express your own self, however you choose, in a way that makes you feel good. And as long as you're not hurting anybody or hurting yourself, why would anybody have a problem with you expressing your own true, authentic self? But a lot of times folks have a problem with that. And I think it's because they themselves, they know within that they're not as free to do so as you might be. You have that freedom. Therefore, you can do so. You can express yourself in a way that, you know, it is enlightening and it's empowering, but they're not free to do so. And so they get pissed off at you for being that way. Well, I say the hell with them if that's the case. Let them get pissed off. It's also important to note that chosen ones come in all shapes, sizes, and colors all around the world. I mean, if all of the chosen ones on this planet could unite and all of us could come together in one place at the same time, just think how many of us there would be. Oh man, it would be off the chain. It would be a lot of folks. And think of the connections that would be made while we were there. I mean, from, oh man, you name it. I mean, friendships and possible relationships. I mean, all sorts of connections, bringing about new opportunities, very lucrative opportunities, I might add, and you never know what type of doors might would open on your behalf as a chosen one if we all were able, and then bringing all of our gifts and talents together. See, because as a chosen one, oftentimes you will find that you are gifted and talented in either a certain area or multiple areas. I mean, you can do a lot of different things. You might be a good singer, a good dancer, a good cook. You might be a choreographer, a painter. I mean, it's a bunch of things that chosen ones are able to do that a lot of times these average folk out here might not can do, but they want to get mad at us for the abilities and the gifts and talents that we have. But our gifts and talents have blessed this entire planet for generations. And they pissed off. They mad. Now, why would they want to be like that? I mean, if they have gotten something out of what we've done and what we've offered to the world over the course of our lives, why would they be upset? It's ridiculous. As a child, and even at various parts of your life, you may have felt destined for greatness. However, as you continued on your life's journey, you had a number of unwanted experiences which caused you to feel let down. And I can tell you firsthand, I've had that experience multiple times, feeling like I was just, oh man, just too through. I was just, and I have to be careful not to allow that type of feeling to come over me, because if I dwell in that type of, see, that's low frequency. That's low vibration. That's what that is. And if you find yourself operating on a low frequency, then it behooves you to do whatever you possibly can to get out of that as quickly as possible, because you don't want to just wallow in self-pity and doubt and, unhappiness. Those are all low vibrational emotions, and that's low frequency. You want to operate on a high frequency and a high vibration, because not only is it good for you, but it's good for those around you. And being a chosen one, it affords you the ability to be a beacon of hope and this bright light that shines everywhere you go. I mean, it makes you feel good when you can do that. Now, here are a few indicators letting you know if in fact you are a chosen one. Number one, you feel like you don't belong in this world. You know, you've always felt out of place. No matter where you went, no matter who you were with, you always felt like the oddball. That's the way a chosen one is a lot of times. That's how they feel. Number two, people tend to mock you, ignore you, or take advantage of you. I have been there time and time again. I know all too well about that. Everywhere I've ever gone, I've been mocked and ridiculed or something, because, that's how stupid some people are at times. Because they see this light shining in you and they can't figure out why you are so happy and you got all of this joy and gladness about yourself. Meanwhile, they're walking around bitter and frustrated and upset and disgruntled, and they're grumpy and bottom lip stuck out. And all of what's going on in the world and all of what's going on even in your life. And you're still able to walk around with your head held high and a smile on your face. They can't understand that. Because you're a chosen one, that's why. Number three, well, I just said that you don't fit in anywhere. Number four, you're not comfortable with the idea of following the status quo. That's something I never cared for, And see, that's the reason why I always had a problem with the people in the church, because in church, they always want you to follow along, and see, in church and in religion, there's this, it's like subconsciously or unknowingly, they're playing the game called follow the leader, in that they want all of the members of the congregation to follow the lead of the pastor, that he's the leader. And now in the black church, there's this huge deal about obedience, and they often like to quote the scripture, obedience is better than sacrifice. A lot of times they'll quote that when it's time to raise the offering, try to coerce people into giving more money. But they also like to quote that verse when they're trying to get people to do what they feel is right, but knowing on the inside of you is not right. It's not right with you, and it's not right for you. So, number five, you dim your light around people you don't know, and or perhaps you dim your light around people you do know. Now, I'm guilty of that. I know I've dimmed my light a lot of times around people that I either didn't know or did know, because, when you stand out like a sore thumb, it's sort of, it's uncomfortable, and people want to be accepted by others. I don't care where you are or what you do, you want to be accepted by somebody. But a lot of times, no matter what we do, we just won't be accepted. So we just have to realize that and keep moving forward. Number six, your light attracts broken people in hopes that you can fix them. But people can't be fixed. You can't change anybody. People have to want to change for themselves. And if they don't want to change for themselves, ain't nothing you can do to change them. Number seven, you have an inner knowing of your potential to impact the world. That's how you know that you're a true chosen one. And that's a feeling that I've always had myself. And I know that there are many of you out there who have that feeling too. Number eight, you walk in a different path in life. I've always done that. I sure have. Number nine, you get hated on, yet people imitate you. Have you ever experienced that? They can't stand to see the things that you do, and yet they try so hard to be like you. That's crazy, isn't it? Man, it's backwards. Number 10, you enjoy your freedom and despise anyone or anything that tries to restrict you. And being restricted is something that I hate with a passion. I really do. And there is one more I want to share before I go. And this is one that I've been experiencing, oh man, for a good portion of my life now. If you're familiar with angel numbers, numbers that repeat and often have a significant meaning behind them, then number 13, I just skipped down a couple of them. You see a lot of repeating numbers, and usually those numbers have a significant meaning behind them. They often foretell things that are going to happen in the future if you're aware of what they mean with regards to the circumstances that you are faced with and certain people that you know who are in your life. So I tell you, man, it's something. Now, I'm going to close with this, and I want you to keep this in mind. Remember that energy never lies. We are energy. Everything is energy all around us. If you find yourself feeling a tremendous level of discomfort around a person or a group of people, or even in a particular environment, run as fast as you can because they are not your tribe and the place where you are is not your vibe. So that's all I have to say today on being a chosen one is not all that fun. And if you are, in fact, the chosen one, then I'm sure you understand exactly where I'm coming from. And if you know anyone else out there who is a chosen one, please share this message with them and let them know that they are not alone and that regardless of what they're going through at this time, everything will be all right because they're going to come out on top. So with that being said, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you one more time for tuning in to another episode of TJ's Topics. I really do appreciate it. And feel free to like and comment and share with whoever. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. So until then, this is Taryn Jerome Harris, reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.